If you're watching this video, please be aware. I really hope this content brings value to everyone. But since we live in such a polarized world, it would be naive of me to think that this content will resonate with everyone. So all in all, I hope you are one of the many that finds this video refreshing. And if you're wondering why, please check out my video on astrology. And just so you're aware, the vision for this channel is to share simplified knowledge related to a range of topics, from self-development to health, finance, leadership, and a range of other dynamics of life that may be challenging to make valuable sense of. Life is truly much more fulfilling when you have the right perspective. So for this video, I'm going to ground us in the definition of self-worth. And since the picture says 1,000 words, we're going to leverage mental models to help solidify the understanding of what self-worth is and creative ways to evaluate it. I'll touch on simple economics, primarily focused on supply and demand, which is a very simple concept. Now, this video will attempt to equate self-worth with a financial component, an hourly or salary wage. I mean, the majority of society performs some type of service in which we receive rewards in cash or other means of value to help pay our bills. So we'll spend some time looking at an example of shaping up a point of view about how your personal perspective related to how much you get paid aligns with the perspectives of others. And I'll close out with my inspiration for making this video and a key message. Now, when I came across these words to the right, it resonated almost immediately. Make sure you don't start seeing yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you. Know your worth even if they don't. And I believe all too often this is exactly what we do. Allow other people to define our value. So let's change the game. This first mental model relates to a psychological concept by Abraham Maslow. Basically, it describes psychological obstacles that typically hold most people back from reaching their full potential. If we were to use the example of buying a house and moving in, I would expect most people would follow similar routines that match this hierarchy of need. So let's say for basic needs, you're thinking about a house located in a safe neighborhood. And once a house is located, we would be thinking about physiological need. Distance from grocery store or restaurant, getting the water and other utilities turned on, locks and security cameras. After that is settled, you move to psychological needs. For belongingness and love needs, let's say you have a housewarming get-together. And then, after adequate progress has been made with physiological, safety, and belongingness, we reach esteem needs, or the search for meaning stage, aka self-worth. I find that most people have trouble with the belongingness and love needs, as well as the esteem needs. You can view self-actualization as peak performance, leveraging your unique skills and talents to the highest degree. So when people can't adequately satisfy basic and psychological needs, they almost always never reach their full potential. So this video will be focusing in on only this element of the hierarchy to help evaluate your self-worth through the lens of compensation for your contributions. So here's the simple economics, supply and demand, looking at goods and services. So we can be thinking about candy, you can think about cars, you can think about homes, you can think about whatever type of good or services that the market provides for you. For anyone who has not seen this chart, basically it is saying that the responsibility of a business owner is to right-size supply with a given market demand. If you oversupply the market, you will likely have to reduce your price point of that product or service to move products out of inventory. And the closer you move things towards free, the demand for that product could typically rise. And then another way to think about it is that if you have low supply and there is a high demand, you can potentially raise your price point up to slow down the demand. You can look at the fluctuations in home prices, the fluctuation in automobile prices. When there is a low supply coming out of COVID, the price point P went up because people still demanded those products. But we had a supply shortage of microchips. So that is how a supply and demand chart is read. Now, I've done a little razzle dazzle to this supply and demand chart to look at it through the lens of self-worth. So if you can look on the x-axis, I've changed that from quantity to the quantity of high quality talent in the market. And if you look on the y-axis, I have changed that from price to compensation or your wages. Now, the way this works is looking at these two theories to the right. So theory one, there is a high demand for quality talent in numerous industries. So it's saying that there's a high demand, but I'm saying that the supply of high quality talent in the market is low. This is theory two. So high quality talent in the market is at a low supply. So if you have a low supply but a high demand, then this is what happens. You have a small majority of people, and let's say since they're high quality, these are your self-fulfilled or self-actualized individuals. They are able to receive higher compensation for their contribution. So if you go online to, these statistics, 10% of the population accounts for 66.9% of the total wealth in the country. Amazing. So in a sense, if you are not able to get the quality of your work up, you are leaving money on the table. So if you haven't checked out my videos on astrology and innate gifts, these are videos that help to get the quality of your work up. Please check them out. Another point of view. Please note the change on the x-axis from high to low quality talent in the market. So now we go back to two additional theories. So with this chart, theory 3 is saying there is a high supply of low quality talent in numerous industries, so a high supply. And then theory 4 is saying low quality talent is not significantly in demand in the market. So high supply of low quality talent, high supply, low demand. What does that equate to? That equates to a low compensation, a low wage. Statistics again are showing 50% of the population account for 2.5% of the total wealth in the country. Amazing. So to re-emphasize, the goal of this video is to connect you to your self-worth respective of market demand for talent to optimize your compensation. Now here are some steps to establish a self-worth point of view. There is no right or wrong way to do this. It's an attempt at gathering the data that's available and making reasonable assessments to drive meaningful conversations that would help you meet any compensation goals you may have. So step 1, break your gross compensation down to an hourly rate. We're trying to make things as simple as possible, so we are not trying to think in terms of an annual salary. For people who work hourly, I believe that you are very well connected to your hourly rate. So let's say it's $20 an hour. Step 1 complete. If you are a salaried employee, your unit rate could possibly be captured on your paycheck stub, but if you can't find it, just take your annual salary divided by 52 weeks in a year, divided by 40 hours a week. So this is just $20 an hour backwards. And after you get to your hourly rate, step 1 is done. Step 2, list your responsibilities for the work you do. This is trying to highlight what you own when you are at work. In this example, we're going to say we're looking at a landscaper. somebody in the lawn care industry. So let's do some sample responsibilities. Safely operate landscaping equipment to cut grass and bushes associated with client's property. Work with client to determine optimal landscaping frequency. Provide client with any key observations of their landscape as appropriate. Perform the appropriate maintenance on landscaping equipment to ensure optimal equipment performance, and ensure all debris from landscaping activities is properly collected and discarded. Now, it's important to try to break things down into products. So each of these bullet points of responsibilities can be viewed as a product. And as a side note, why am I emphasizing these responsibilities as products? Well, if you think of these 5 bullet points as an apple, an orange, a banana, watermelon, grapefruit, you have a customer to where you have an agreement to provide these 5 products, and they're going to pay you for them. If you come with a dog, if you come with a cat, some product that you two don't have an agreement on, you may have just wasted your time producing that product for a customer that was not expecting it and may not pay for it. So in an effort to stay focused on producing the highest quality product, you must stay connected to what those products are. Step 3, align your responsibilities with your innate gifts and develop talents. Now this goes to the heart of the quality of your products and services. View the black text as the job description and the red text as the reasons why you are the right person to provide that respective product. Step 4, establish itemized hourly rates from your personal point of view for the responsibilities captured. Now, this is highly subjective, and you should be as reasonable as possible when establishing itemized unit rates. For the responsibilities that we have captured, reasonable assessments would be, $10 an hour for me to safely operate landscaping equipment to cut grass and bushes associated with the client's property. If I'm just talking to the client about determining optimal landscaping frequency, maybe I do this every time I come and provide this service. So where I can put this down is maybe $2 an hour. Providing the client with any key observations for their landscape, maybe I don't do this all the time. So I put down $0 an hour. I look at this as maybe they give me a tip or a bonus, variable pay. $8 an hour. So performing the appropriate maintenance on landscaping equipment. I would think that any employer would hold this highly valuable if you're extending the life of key assets of the business. So this is captured at $8 an hour. Then ensuring all debris from landscaping activities is properly collected and discarded. Maybe you put this at $3 an hour. These are numbers. Again, you can play with them. This is all subjective. Step 5. Note how much time you spend outside of work hours regularly, intentionally building your knowledge to optimize your performance and or in preparing for the next work day or work week. For this particular example, since we're talking about a landscaper, we're going to say that they spend 0 hours outside of their 40-hour work week. But if you are in a different profession, let's say you're in a profession to where you work inside of a office building or you work remotely, you get salary. If the expectation is that you are working 40 hours a week, but you are actually working anywhere from 42 to 45 hours a week, you can average that out to an additional 3 hours at whatever your unit rate hourly wage is, and try to leverage that as a communication piece or negotiation piece to your supervisor. And I would note that we are on the rise in terms of people being mentally burned out. Now, if this is you, I would say step 5 is a very critical piece of capturing this data if you're feeling that you're already undercompensated, so you can bring this to your supervisor's attention. And if you're not getting the response that you're looking for, there are other strategic ways to right size your efforts to keep you at or under 40 hours per week, if that would be more aligned with what your compensation is. Step 6. Note how much friends and family would pay or have paid you to perform the same or similar services for them. Also turn this into an hourly amount. Now, I won't go through what I've captured here, but if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. I'm hoping this is fairly self-explanatory. But in a sense, this step is trying to get at if you were able to set your own rate for family and friends, would they pay it? How high of a cost could you set and they would still pay it? This is not to take advantage of family and friends, but to understand your true value. As a personal example, I typically perform various handyman services for friends and family somewhat regularly, but as my availability became more and more limited due to more valuable ways for me to spend my time, I raised my costs for family and friends in an effort for them to seek another alternative. But to my surprise, they were willing to pay my inflated costs. This truly spoke to how they viewed the quality of my work versus their alternatives. Step 7. Reference online data or other sources to see what the going rates are for your type of work in general. So here I was able to capture some data from salary.com related to a lawn service manager. So this is a data point that I feel is applicable. So we take this annual salary and turn it into an hourly rate as another evaluation point. And finally, step 8, bring the data together in different ways to paint various pictures of self-worth. As you can see, we have 4 data points to check alignment regarding self-worth related to compensation for contribution. Please note that the green is where you evaluate yourself to compare your point of view with that of your employer and the market data you have access to. And here are some key conclusions that can be drawn from bringing this type of data together. Is my current compensation aligned with where I believe it should be? Is it reasonably in the ballpark given my unique abilities and talents? If I believe my compensation is on the low end, I can use this data to review with my supervisor and or seek opportunities elsewhere. If I believe my compensation is on the high end, this data should help me understand why that is. If I have more talents that could be utilized by my employer, I can advocate for more responsibilities with the appropriate compensation. And here are 3 books that I've personally found highly valuable regarding establishment of self-worth. I recommend checking them out for a significant boost in self-development. For the key message, understanding your self-worth goes a long way for not only advocating appropriate compensation for yourself, but also for your mental health. Staying connected to the fundamentals of economics can lead to an improved thought process for how you think about the work you do. You are always providing some type of product or service to a consumer, and they can possibly get that product or service from another supplier. Itemize your responsibilities. You have ultimate control over the level of quality of the product or service you offer. Since we all have a limited time here on Earth, let's use this time to work smarter, not harder. And since I'm trying to establish a long-term relationship with my viewers, here are a few tidbits about yours truly. Thanks again for tuning in. Knowledge is power.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.